Welcome back to Laughing in the Dark, the podcast where I hang out in haunted places with comedians. I'm your host, Sara Jones. This is the segment of the show where I talk to you about your ghost stories. For this episode, I talked to Mama Jean. I actually used to live in her house in a tiny closet bedroom, and it was honestly my favorite place I've ever lived. It literally used to be a coat closet, and I loved it. It was right here in Portland. So this episode goes in a little bit of a different direction. It gets a little more sentimental and personal, but I hope you love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over. I mean, you know, spirits and ghosts are everywhere. So.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
Well, okay, do you want to start the interview?
Sure.
Okay.
You go, girl.
So do you want to start with saying who you are and where you're from, or something about yourself for listeners?
Sure. Basically, I'm known as Mama Jean, and I've been in Portland for so long it's home, over 40 years. So, you know, born and raised in Oregon, so I'm one of those rare breeds that's actually from here. Yeah.
So this is a haunting from a house that I used to live in, right?
Absolutely.
Is where I lived in the closet.
Heck yeah. You lived in the closet room.
It's my favorite place I've ever lived.
Nice.
Easily.
Nice. Yeah.
So what? Okay, so tell me. I can't believe I don't know this story.
I can't either. I mean, it's amazing. Well, she came with the house. We moved into the house back in the early 90s when, after a divorce, I had 3 kids. And I believe that you have to ask the spirits of any home whether or not they want to stay with you when you move in. So I did a cleansing of the home, and I told all the spirits that lived in the house.
With like sage, was it?
Sage, and you solve the corners, and you open windows and doors, and you invite any spirit who wants to stay in your home. As long as they can do no harm, they're welcome to stay, and anyone else has to leave. And you usually know when people leave or spirits leave because windows will slam shut, doors will slam shut, because they don't like to be asked to leave. But they have to leave when you kind of ask them that way, or it's the way I've been raised or taught. And
wait, who taught you that? Where did you hear that?
Oh, you know, it's a lifetime of not following the norm. Mm-hmm. You know, living the alternative life. You know. Pagan life, you know, you learn rituals and customs and things that you just sort of take as part of what you do in life, you know, kind of thing. Accepting spirits are around you at all times is one of them.
Yeah.
So you want to be pleasing to them and you want them to be pleasing to you. And I had 3 small kids, so I didn't want, you know, creepy things in the house.
So when you did that, did you hear a window slam or lots of them?
Of course. One window cracked in half.
What?
He was pissed. Whoever it was pissed, and the window went slamming down and just cracked in half.
Whoa.
So I had to replace it.
Were you alone when you did this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, I had a friend with me, but she was downstairs and I was upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when I went upstairs and I was asking them, you know, you can stay or go, but you have to only do, you can only be in kindness and you can do no harm. That's when the window, that literally you couldn't get to shut any other time of life, you know, if you opened it, like, it just slammed shut.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was pretty evident it was him, or I felt like it was a male energy.
Interesting, yeah.
But Hannah stayed.
Okay.
And Hannah was a young woman, probably in her early 20s. She had blonde curly hair. And I know this because she was seen many times by different people. Even though I had no one living, nobody in my house was living with me. It was 20 that had curly hair.
What's weird is I would have been around the same age as her.
Yep.
I would have been. Yep. Because I lived there, 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
Quite a while ago, yeah.
So I would have been like 22, 23.
Yeah, she was there. Huh. But she didn't really communicate with the females in the house.
Oh, interesting.
She only messed with the men in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. She was my son's guardian angel. When he was a little baby, he would talk to me about the guardian angel that watched over him when he was sleeping. And he described her to a T. And so I had no doubt that it was the same woman that was in the house.
Well, how did you know how she looked? You saw her?
I saw her 2 times in the house, walking through the hallway. And it was always downstairs in the hallway. It was like you get this, you know, the shadow vision in your peripheral vision. All of a sudden you see someone walking in the hallway and you turn to look to see who it is and you realize, no, wait a minute, you're in the house alone. You know, kind of thing. And you're like, oh. And I called her Hannah because it just seemed right. I never asked her name. I never tried to communicate with her like that. I just sort of seemed like a name I wanted to call her.
Did Brody call her anything?
His angel.
His angel, just angel.
Yeah. His it was kind of like he used to call her his white angel. You know, so because she had really light hair, you know, and she, you know, I think to some degree spirits, when they show themselves, sort of glow, you know, and they kind of are wispy and that type of thing. So yeah, but he used to, you know, talk about how she would bear in his room and protecting him and taking care of him, and I believed him.
Yeah.
So she was always kind. I mean, she never did anything bad, but she definitely messed with the guys in the house that used to come and go in the house.
Like how so?
There was one bedroom in the first floor in the corner. It was the blue room, and that was her favorite room. So whenever there would be a guy in that room, she would do things to annoy them or to play with them or to flirt with them, I used to say. And one example specifically was a young man named Sean. And he didn't know we had a ghost in the house. I didn't go around telling people.
No, clearly, I didn't know.
People out. So you don't really talk about it. But there was another young woman who lived in the house at the time, and he came out and said, "What the heck is going on?" And she says, "What?" He goes and says, "My radio just keeps coming on. My stereo just keeps coming on." And she goes, "Oh, it's probably the ghost." And that kind of freaked him out. And I said, "She's just flirting with you, you know, jokingly, like, let's make it really light." And he's like, "No, that's just wrong. I don't think I can live here." There's a ghost. And I said, "She won't ever hurt you.
Yeah.
She'll just mess with you, you know?" So he had a stereo unit with records, and she would literally turn it on and put the needle on a record.
Whoa.
Yeah. Or she would move his keys. You know, like he always put them on the table, and so she would take them and put them somewhere else. Like we would often find his keys in the living room on the piano. Like, she never, like I said, she never did harm. She was just messy, kind of playing with you. Yeah. And she would close, you know, doors. You know, like he would close a door, she would open it. You know, whatever you thought she wasn't going to do, she would do it, the opposite. So, yeah, and she never messed with anybody in a bad way. And there were some men in the house she never ever even acknowledged. But if she thought they were cute, or I think, or if she liked them or thought they were sweet or something, then they definitely got messed with.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I would have friends come over, and only male friends, and they would be sitting in the living room, and they say, "Oh, who's your new roommate?" And I'd say, "Oh, what do they look like?" And they said, "Oh, you know, the young woman that just went through the hallway, you know, kind of blonde, curly hair." And I said, "Oh, you mean the ghost?" Because there's no one in the house.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, there's no one in the house except me and you, and that's just Hannah. She's the ghost." So she was always there.
Yeah, just another tenant.
Yeah. She came before me, so, you know, she could stay as far as I was concerned.
Yeah. Did you ever do any research on trying to figure out who she was? Or?
No.
Huh. Interesting. I wonder.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, she was...
It was like her business, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when we moved in and I had 3 small children, I just felt like and because Brody kept saying how he has a little guardian angel, I felt like, man, that's a blessing to have someone who's watching over him, because he had a lot of health issues when he was younger, and if he thought he had a guardian angel, then all the better for me.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
He felt safe.
Yeah.
So that was all I cared about. I wanted my kids to feel safe, so that was perfect. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I had no idea. That's crazy.
You know, you don't go around talking about a ghost, because a lot of people get really weirded out by that, or they think you're, you know, off your, you know, rocker. You know,
yeah. Yeah. Have you had other ghost stories too, or is it?
Oh, I've always had spirits in my life. I've never not known what the world felt like without others in your life. And often, I feel like I'm a very intuitive person, so a lot of times I feel as if when I'm with someone, I get a lot of information about that person, and it's from the energy around them, which is not my energy, but those are spirits and life around them. So, yeah, I don't know. I've always felt like they're really close by, so... You know.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I worked in a New Age bookstore in Selwood one time, and a young man came in, and he had a few pieces of art on consignment there, and he was just so sad when he walked in the door, and right behind him was a shadow. And it was so evident to me to see the shadow right behind him. And I I just was like watching him, and I was watching the shadow, and he came up, and I just said, I just get the sense that you have an incredible burden, and I just want you to know that you have someone with you who's watching over you and going to protect you and is never ever going to leave you. I get the sense they will never ever leave you.
Like his shadow.
He just burst into tears because it was his twin brother who had passed away, and he didn't know how to carry on in life without him. And I said, you don't have to. He's right with
there.
you. Mm-hmm. And it was very evident when I said that the shadow behind him turned into this amazing light that was just glowing around him to like acknowledge that yes, that's who it was, and that's who he was. So from that point, the young man was so taken back, and he was so thrilled to hear it. My dragon that has been a part of my life ever since was a gift from him.
Oh, how cool.
He and his brother got it together when they were traveling, and he wanted me to have it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Thank you for giving his brother back to him.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was awesome. So spirits and people are around all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. When my mother passed, she was in Arizona, and she had a thing about bells. And don't ask me what that was about. I have no idea. But when we went downstairs on Christmas Eve that morning, a bell fell off the mantle in the living room. Mm-hmm. And everyone went, oh, Mama. Mm-hmm. Or Granny.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, she's saying goodbye. She came to say goodbye.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
They're around. You know, all the time.
Yeah. I totally believe that.
Yeah. And, I know you see a lot of things about negative ghosts and bad, all the movies are horror movies are always about poltergeists and terrible creatures that come to take you in the night. But in reality, I don't think spirits mean you any harm. They turn on lights. They have the ability to affect your world, and if you're paying attention, you recognize it for what it is. And I've gone to mediums, and they'll say the same thing. That people will let you know they're around, and if you're paying attention, you'll get it. You'll figure it out. Weird stuff. Whether it's from a visual that always comes to you, or words that you hear, or literally lights flipping on and for no reason. You're like, why is that happening? Or your key. literally, when your keys are in your room and then they wind up on the piano and you're not the one that did it. They have the ability to free will.
There's this one time that I told my dad, I was like, Dad, you know that I love like ghost stuff. Like do something creepy. Like I wanna be in the kitchen and I turn my head and everything's normal. And then I turn around and like all the drawers and cabinets are open. Like do something like that. And he hasn't done anything like that. But the day that I said that, I was like making my bed and like getting ready for work. And I was working at the front desk that day. So I was just sitting there and I was talking to a patient at I probably shouldn't say where I work in the podcast. But we can bleep that out. It's no big deal.
No big.
But anyway, so I went into work and I was working at the front desk and I'm just like checking a patient in or whatever, and a clock behind me just popped right off the wall, like forcefully fell on the ground or on the floor, I guess. We're indoors. And I like looked behind me because it was like to my left here. And I looked behind me, realized what happened, and like looked at the patient, and then I looked at there's a receptionist that works in X-ray right next to me, and I looked over at her and she's like, what just happened? And I looked at that patient and I was like, don't worry, that's just the ghost. We're at a hospital. Like, I don't know. And he was like, no, I was facing it. That just flew off the wall. That's what just happened. And it was like, okay, I'll put that in my back pocket.
Did you pay attention to what time it was when it fell off the wall?
No. Not at all. And now I wish I did.
Yeah, see?
It was like the afternoon.
Yeah. But weird things like that happen.
Oh, I wish I checked the time.
Yeah.
But I have had little things from my dad, I'm pretty sure. Like I'll see him around in the weirdest ways.
Yeah. Pay attention.
Yeah.
Everybody has intuition and you can develop it. Some people say, oh, I don't know any of that. But it's true. That feeling of, I should slow down. I shouldn't go down that street.
Yeah.
Pay attention. And usually when you don't pay attention is when something stupid happens. And I feel like the more you pay attention to that little voice in the back of your head that just sort of speaks out to you all the time, the more your life will be much more guided and more effortless.
Yeah.
To be some degree.
Yeah.
I think, personally. And when people say, I don't know, yes, you do. Of course you do. I don't know. I don't know if intuition is all internal or if it's driven as well by outside forces that kind of are guiding you, you know? I feel like some of us are capable of sensing them, you know, a lot more, and they're willing to communicate with us.
And I wonder too if like sometimes I wonder like you obviously you feel spirits everywhere.
Yes.
What do you believe, why are they here? I mean,
I don't know if there's a here. I think there's multi-dimensions going on at all times. I don't believe there's one plane of living. I believe that there's multiple planes going living life, dimensions. And in those dimensions, there's all types of life. There's a philosophy that we're living different lives even within our own life. Like, you know, that there's this
so
path
they like exist in different dimensions.
In different dimensions.
Yeah,
different planes. So, you know, and over here you're doing this, and over here you're doing that, and in this one you're doing this. So who knows?
Yeah,
I don't have the answers.
Me neither.
I don't have any of the answers.
I don't know anything.
You know? I believe that, you know, life carries on.
I don't know. I find that stuff so interesting that I don't know what I believe at all.
Yeah.
But I do like the first dream I had with my dad in it was like undoubtedly real. And I had literally asked for what happened in the dream, which was like the weirdest. And I was so happy. And I got called into the hospital because I'm like on call on the days I'm not scheduled. And I got called in and I answered the phone at like 6 a.m, like just waking up from that dream. And my scheduler is like the sweetest person in the world. And she was like, "Hi, Sarah. Sorry. Can you work?" And I was like, "Guess what just happened? I just woke up." And I told her all about it. It was so sweet. Yeah. But, and that's in some ways like kind of a different visit. I call them, I actually keep a notebook of my dad's dreams. And like, I
believe
visits.
They are visits. They are visits. My parents visit all the time.
Yeah, in dreams, like have dream visits.
When they first passed, I had more visual dreams. Now I just have moments.
Yeah.
You know, like they'll tell me they're around.
Yeah.
You know, one way or the other. Like my mom, I swear to you, you know, if she was hanging out and nearby and there was a bell, it would be ringing. You know?
Yeah.
To the point where one time, even on my phone, I have a specific ringtone, right? But it rang like a bell.
Oh.
And there was no one there.
Interesting. And it wasn't the ring, it was just a totally different.
Just a totally different random ringtone like a bell. You know, I mean, I think the thing that people have the hardest thing about when people go is that they feel alone. And I think that they don't go far. They don't want to not be, they don't want you to not know they're there. They want you to know they're still there.
Yeah.
They're just there in a different way.
Yeah.
And they can't be physically with you, but they are there. And, you know, I think there's a little, I hope people find comfort in that. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that there's, I mean, even just like with the whole idea of this show, I think I am looking more so for the scary stuff. Like that's
of course.
that's where it's fun.
The fun stuff.
But what comes down to though too is that like it's just like how many living people are evil and bad, and there's a lot of really really good people too. And I imagine that's how spirits are as well. Like there's just good. Like Hannah sounds like she was a good spirit.
She was a great spirit. I really believe that however she was in the house, why she was in the house, you know, whatever. She died way too young.
Clearly.
It was way too young.
Yeah.
And she just wasn't ready to not be a part of the world. You know, I used to work at a Catholic school, and there was a building next to the school that had housed the priests. They had little cell rooms, right?
Yeah.
And so these young teachers were sleeping in this room. And again, I'm working at a Catholic high school, being the only kind of like pagan in the house. And so one of the people that was living in the room said, "Can you just please come and help us? This place is weird. It's got so much weird energy, and it's so freaky and scary and spooky." And, you know, I'm like, oh, okay. So we went and did a cleanse of it, and it was. The place really had some weird ass.
I was going to ask you, if you got
it
that
was
same
just like,
impression.
oh, yeah, you walked in and you went, oh, whoa, what the heck, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just like, woof, kind of thing. And so we did the same thing, you know, we opened up all the windows, we opened up all the doors, we salted all the corners, we did, you know, we brought bread and we brought oil and, you know, the whole 9 yards. And I'm telling you, man, when we ask all those who are, you know, not wanted here anymore, you have to leave.
Yeah.
I am not joking you.
Yeah.
Every window, every door slammed shut.
Whoa.
And all of the house people were standing next to me at the front door, and the whole place just looks like an explosion of doors and windows. Pop, 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 pop.
Whoa.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. And I just was like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what that was, like mass exodus or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And afterwards, I said, okay, so I don't have anything else to do. So, my response would be maybe go open up some windows and just, let the sea, whatever, say. And they said after that, they could sleep. There was no problems. And I was just like, wow.
Whoa.
But it was the most incredible thing I'd ever experienced with the doors.
That's awesome.
Slamming shut. We were all like, and it was like, in a movie where you watch the windows just come from one side to the other. It was just like
a domino effect.
And they were standing there going, who's doing that? And I'm like, well, we're all here, so
it's not us. Yeah. Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
The thing I love about Day of the Dead is that they're actually celebrating on the other side.
I love
they're
that.
They're living life as opposed to, you're in some cocoon dying and never ever coming out of that hole again. Like, who wants that?
Right.
I love the idea that they're over there partying and having a great time, So the fact that we can open up the door and let them come back and hang out with us and
that would
honor
be
them,
awesome.
I think that's brilliant. So I think
I'm going to have to celebrate that this next year just with my dad, you know?
It's around the Halloween, All Saints, that type of thing. That's Day of the Dead down in that time frame.
Yeah,
well, I can't wait to hear your scary stories.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, the haunted sites, I could probably stop recording at this point. She is such an awesome person. Mama Jean is the best. By the way, Mama Jean has her own Etsy. If you're into Day of the Dead stuff, be sure to check out Mama Jean's Kind Threads. She makes amazing quilts and wall hangings that are incredibly cool, just like her. Go to Etsy or even just Google search Mama Jean's Kind Threads to support this wonderful, magical woman. While you're at it, check out our social media. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can find us at Lit Dark Podcast. You can also visit our website, litdarkpodcast.com, LITDARK podcast.com. By the way, if you have an amazing ghost story, we want to hear from you. Email us at litdarkpodcast@gmail.com, litdarkpodcast@gmail.com. We might want to put you on the show. Thanks for listening. Hey, you're still listening. While you're still here, something kind of cool happened right after I stopped recording with Mama Jean. Check it out. Okay, now I think we're good.
Okay.
What?
So I asked you a question. What were we just talking about?
I'm going to explain what just happened, just in case we miss it.
Go for it.
So literally seconds after I decided to just stop the recording, there arose such a clatter from the kitchen. Something sounds like it fell and was super loud. And so what were we just talking about?
What were we just talking about?
And now I'm trying to remember there from all that hustle and bustle.
Day of the Dead,
yeah.
And Coco, and how we'd rather think that people were celebrating the other side of life.
Uh-huh.
So a sugar skull on a shelf that has nothing but Day of the Dead sugar skulls and little effigies on it. This came off the shelf.
Really? How was it, like far back on the shelf?
Come here.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, yeah. I mean, the mic. It was an expensive microphone. I should pick this up. See? Where was it?
Right here. It was up here.
Whoa. Where'd you find it?
Right here.
So it fell. How weird is that?
I don't think it's weird. I don't think it's weird at all.
No, I guess that's the whole point.
Yeah. So we're talking about it. We're talking about people who passed on and how they communicate with us, and a little sugar skull falls off the shelf. I think that's pretty profound.
That's extremely profound. How weird is that? You don't think it's weird?
I don't think it's weird at all. It happens in my life all the time. So
that's amazing.
I don't find that unusual.
That was amazing.
But there you go. There you go.
Yeah, case in point.
Case in point. That's what.
And of course they waited until I stopped recording too.
Maybe it was recording and you just don't know it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Hopefully.
And I get a sense, to be honest with you, that was more your dad than any of my family.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was not my family. That's not how they would communicate.
Really?
Nope.
Huh.
But I just feel like when you were talking about your dad, I got a sense that he was very near and very close, and that he's been trying to communicate with you. And the only way they have to really communicate with us is either in dreams or physical things like that. So, in my opinion, when that fell off, I was like, well, that one's for Sarah. That was not for me.
Yeah.
And it was the sugar skull. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know?
And my dad just knocked it off
And
like
you were
a
just
cat
saying,
off
and
the...
didn't you just say prior to that, I'm going to have to celebrate that this year for my dad?
Yeah, I did. All right, Dad. I see what you're...
Sugar skull fell off the wall.
Picking up what you're throwing down, literally.
Then he's okay.
Yeah.
He's okay.
He wants to party.
He's got a beer and he's or a drink in a red Solo cup and having a grand time.
Yeah.